torn. See just its? It possesses the cover, and it's a pronoun referring to book. What does that make it''s? Well, it's a contraction of it is. So when we want to shorten it is in a sentence, we do it by writing it''s. Let's see how you do with a tricky sentence.
I am listening closely to the Martian because I think it's going to tell us who its leader is. First, you can see we've used the contraction its to shorten it is going to tell us. Then we use the possessive pronoun its to represent the Martian later in the sentence.
The same predicament can occur with their and their, your and your, and whose and whose. If you ever run into the dilemma of which one to choose, try to separate the contraction form back into its two-ingredient words. If the sentence still makes sense, then bless my stars and garters, go ahead and stick that apostrophe in there, because you've got a contraction.
Let's use this technique in a real-life situation. They're going to wash their navels. We have the there problem in two places, and we're not sure we've chosen the right words. First, let's look at they're going to. If we separate the contraction form, we get they are. So if we plug that into the sentence, we'll get they are going to. That makes sense. So we're going to replace this stinking possessive pronoun with the lovely contraction.
Now let's look at the other place, their navels. Again, we'll take they are and see if it will make sense. Here that gives us they are navels, which, while grammatically correct, is not at all what we're trying to say in the sentence. So it looks like we're going to have to kick that contraction to the curb and replace it with the possessive pronoun form their. That would make our final corrected sentence, they're going to wash their navels. Beautiful! Well, the structure, not the mental image.
So remember to stop and think before you start writing a bunch of contractions everywhere. And while there's nothing wrong with using contractions, you probably should stay away from the informal writing unless you know your reader is cool with it, just to be safe.
Section B, split infinitives.
An infinitive is the form of the verb that comes after the word to, like to run, to fly, to study. So we can use infinitives in a sentence by writing, for instance,
This morning I am going to run, or I would like to be able to fly.
Those are infinitives in action. But what's a split infinitive?
Well, that's when we stick an adverb in between the to and the verb. So if we say to boldly go instead of to go boldly, we're splitting an infinitive.
But you know what? It's not so bad. We're just splitting infinitives, not atoms. Technically, a rule against splitting infinitives isn't even in any important tomes on English grammar. People have been doing it for centuries without anything horrible happening, so it's probably not going to stop anytime soon.
For instance, if we wrote, he was hoping to quickly eat his food, we split an infinitive because we put quickly in between to and the verb eat. But it's easy enough to fix. We can just rewrite our sentence. He was hoping to eat his food quickly. See? We have the to and the eat right next to each other.
That means no split infinitive, and that means your sentence will gain approval from even the pickiest of readers. Well, guess what? These picky readers have one more thing they like to get picky about, the old ending sentences with a preposition bit.
Section C, ending sentences with a preposition.
Just like split infinitives, the practice of ending sentences with prepositions or dangling prepositions is ages old in English, so relatively few educated people still object to it stringently. But that doesn't mean it won't cost you a few damage points with some readers. So you might want to know what they are so you can avoid them if you want.
Here's an example of a sentence that leaves its preposition all a-dangling. I have a window I like to lean out of. There's no uncertainty here about the point we're trying to get across, but technically, yes, we've gone and ended a sentence with a preposition. That's because out of is a prepositional phrase. And look, it's parked right here at the end of the darn sentence.
To fix this, we would have to write, I have a window out of which I like to lean. Although this is grammatically the correct way to say the sentence, it's pretty awkward. If you encounter a problem like this, try to follow your gut instinct. If you're writing a paper that will be graded, your best bet is to check with your teacher beforehand. Then you know you're in the clear.
So there are so-called errors that most people just accept, but not everyone. So you should know which things are on the borderline.
A contraction is a shortcut. It lets you say he's instead of he is, or I'm instead of I am. In really formal writing, you should probably try to avoid them.
A split infinitive is when you stick a word, like an adverb, in between the to and the verb form of the infinitive. To quickly eat is a split infinitive. Most split infinitives are easily avoided by removing the adverb and sticking it somewhere else in the sentence.
Most readers don't really mind if you end a sentence with a preposition, provided your meaning is clear. But for formal writing, you may want to rearrange your sentences so they don't end with a preposition.
Well, that's it for the split infinitive world of English Grammar Part 2. We hope you've learned to avoid some of the more common grammar errors we all sometimes make. And we hope you had some fun along the way.
If you've enjoyed this program and want to continue your brain expansion, check out other titles in the Standard Deviants series, like The Revolutionary World of American Government and The Many-Sided World of Geometry. And don't miss our fantastic Shakespeare series, which includes tapes on the major tragedies.
Feel free to call us if you have any questions or comments at 1-800-238-9669. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.